another stream, even though it has been a while since I last streamed. I have been busy actually making my Gundam. It's almost complete. This weekend I was really busy, and I did play a couple of games, but a little bit smaller ones, and a friend of mine came, or pretty much my best friend came, and we played games together. But I have played Summon Night 6. Now there's a couple of things I want to mention. Is that I'm gonna skip the entire storyline. Really, I do not give a flying shit about the story. Now I am about 6 hours into the game. I'm about 10 hours into the game, and I really don't have any connection with any of these characters, and I'm just really like, you know, the storyline, it's not interesting enough. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not interested in this storyline in this game. Now there are so many different characters that it's also extremely hard to get, really interested in its characters. Now, I've watched a couple of reviews, and the point is that, well, she's forgiven, is that pretty much all of these characters are from previous Summon Night games. So all their personalities and their side stories has already been revealed in all the other Summon Night games. And this is kind of like a mashup with all these characters. And if you played through all the Summon Night games, you would probably have like a favorite character, or like, oh, you know, I know what happened to this one and I know what happened to that one. But since I never played a Summon Night game, and it's basically because pretty much none of these games have ever come out in the West, I don't have a connection for any of them, so I just look at looks visually. I'm like, okay, this is like a nice looking character, and that's about it. So, and also after 10 hours, I didn't really feel connected with the storyline. I was basically like, okay, it kind of feels like a giant filler.
Your turn.
I don't really, a bunch of people being stranded in a different world, coming together, who gives a shit? And I definitely am in a point where I just don't want to play games anymore, especially RPGs that take a long ass time with storyline, yet it doesn't say anything significant. It doesn't give you this grand epic storyline like with Persona, and hopefully also with like Dragon Quest. So like if I would skip the entire story, I wouldn't miss out on anything, in my personal view. But the gameplay is fucking cool. So I do want to play the game. I just don't really. I'm not really interested in its storyline. Oh, I can do not all 8. I think basically that's because there are just too many characters. The storyline, it's really hard to follow because there's so many different characters. Where, like in a game like this Gaia, that also is like a tactical game and has quite a lot of storyline, it's more focused on the main characters, so you get connected with the characters. And to be honest, its storyline in this Gaia games are much more interested than I have witnessed in these 10 plus hours I've been playing it. So today I kind of made the decision of like, whatever, I don't really care about the storyline. I'm gonna skip it, and I'm just gonna enjoy and play the game. And at the moment, it works fine by me.
It's my turn. Your turn.
Because it does have a really good battle system.
It's up to you now. Use it. I need your strength.
Go! That was easier than I expected. Finish.
Time to strike. And now I rest. A miss.
I'm just getting started.
Just getting started.
That was amusing.
All right. It's my turn. Right there.
Chain
Not
attack.
done yet. Let's go. I've done enough for now.
Better make this count. There.
Here we go.
Good enough for now.
My turn. And that's a wrap.
My turn, right?
That's a freaking wrap.
Lesson's over.
Here goes nothing. All right. Let's go. I got this. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see you
Hey.
handle this.
Oh, whatever.
Recharge.
It's not that bad.
And now I rest. Yeah.
These are cool looking characters.
I knew it.
I do commend this game though. Is there is, at least at the moment, no fan service at all.
There.
None of the characters, especially the girls, are like, okay, this is like typical Japanese fan service. You know, as of right now, I have seen nothing. Not that I care, because I like fan service, but it's just like, okay, it's not in this game.
Good enough for now.
My turn.
Almost feels weird.
That's a wrap.
I'm just getting started.
Treasure.
I'm just getting warmed
It's
up.
my turn. Right there. I'm not done yet.
My turn, right?
I'm ready.
Follow your
Let's
lead.
do this.
No time to be losing focus.
Let's go!
Did I miss one?
That was easier than I expected. Lesson's over.
Let's see.
Ah, yes, I did.
Was that okay?
Better make this count. Okay.
I'm just getting started. That was amusing.
Let's go.
Oh.
I've done enough for now. Here we go.
Good enough for now.
My turn. I'm all in on it. Use it. It's up to you now.
Okay, really ready to help.
Seal.
See, I got the trophy.
That's a wrap. Let's see.
Only reason why I did it.
All right. It's my turn. Your turn.
My turn, right? Finish. Here I go. Okay.
I'm just getting started. That was amusing.
I've done enough for now.
Showtime. All right. Better make this count. Ha! Okay.
Here goes nothing. Set. Let's keep this going.
dead.
Was that okay?
Ready to help.
Except
Rose within me. Your turn.
Watch and learn.
Okay.
fine. Let's do this.
Oh. Out of power.
Showtime. Take that. Too bad. So sad. My turn. And that's a wrap.
I'm just getting started. I'm just getting warmed up.
Time to strike. I've done enough for now.
My turn, right? Yeah! You're lucky that missed me. Here I go.
Really?
My turn.
Okay.
That's a wrap.
Ready or not, here I come.
The power grows within you.
Pathetic.
A trivial challenge for the great Minosa.
An S rank. Yay. Experience. Yeah, he has a shit ton of skill points. Master. Yes. Hey, what's up, Helgen? And yes, I did hear. I want to do a video about it. I probably will do that. Oh look, stuff is gone. But yeah, not only it was a really interesting video interview, and you have to understand that they were talking about fiscal year. The fiscal year is, I think, from March to March April to April. I'm not entirely sure. And the whole point of when the PS5 is going to launch, it's all of course rumored, is because the guy from Sony, and he's like the CEO, said that for PlayStation, Sony needs to crouch down in order to jump/grow into the future in the fiscal year of 2020-2021. Now, the reason why he could say crouching down is because probably in that fiscal year, we won't see any big exclusive coming from Sony. Stuff like, you know, Uncharted, God of War, whatever. Now, what a lot of gamers make out, how do you say that? Make out's weird. What people are thinking that it means, and it probably will mean that, because I think that's pretty much what he was saying, is that, you know, for a launch, you know, Nintendo just had a really good spot that the Wii U was doing bad, but they were already making Wii U games, so they could easily port it to the Switch. You know, there has been rumors that even Mario Odyssey was first a Wii U game, but they changed it to a Switch game. Same with Xenoblade Chronicles, same with Zelda. So Nintendo was in a really interesting and unique spot where their system at launch had a big exclusive. And, you know, Sony probably, to be honest, won't have that. I mean, when PlayStation 5 launches, of course they're going to be exclusive. But will it be as big as like Horizon or God of War? Probably not. It will probably be like a smaller game, you know, made in a fast way for the system to launch. So that is what I theorize and what a lot of people think about when Sony says we need to crouch down. They know they don't really have anything big coming at the launch of the PlayStation 5 besides the PlayStation 5 itself. So there's a big possibility that the PlayStation 5 will indeed launch somewhere, you know, at the end of 2020, and also power-wise it would be the best, financial-wise it would be the best. And it probably will launch in maybe the end of 2019, but probably at the end of 2020. And what that means, because this is something really interesting, because they were talking about 1 year of kind of slowing down. The unique approach, what they're probably going to do, is that we know for a fact, I mean, everyone who just thinks about it pretty much knows this. Guerrilla Games, the guys behind Horizon Zero Dawn, are 100% working on at least a PlayStation 5 game. It probably will be Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Maybe it's another IP, but it probably will be Horizon 2. They are definitely working on PlayStation 5. If the PlayStation 5 launches at the end of 2020 and and like Horizon 2 could launch in 2021. Now, from last year, 2017, to 2021, that is 4 years of development. You know, that is a pretty good amount of time for a sequel to be developed.
Watch and learn.
So, what that means is if Sony somehow can make sure that some of their bigger games are going to launch
I'm in on
earlier
it.
in the console's life cycle,
No time to be losing.
it means that that same developer probably will and could release a second big game in that generation, where
That was easier than I
this
expected.
generation
Lessons over.
actually has almost no sequels.
Here we go.
Yes, that is also something that has been rumored, that there are two interesting points. Number one, it has been rumored that Sony is working on a customized Ryzen CPU. If I remember correctly, Ryzen is a CPU, and it's a pretty powerful one. So if the PlayStation 5 actually has the Ryzen CPU,
My turn.
it probably will mean 60 frames on all games possible. And as I mentioned, a lot of times the biggest issue this generation that both developers and gamers had is 30 frames. People have enough of 30 frames. They want a smoother console experience. Ryzen technology would definitely do that. You know, like 1080p 60 frames is going to be 100%. 100% is going to be 60 frames at 1080p. But we don't know, you know, about 4K.
Time to strike.
Yes.
I've done
So
enough for
my
now.
point was, if you actually look at last generation, you had 3 Motor Storm games, you had 3 Resistance games, you had 3 Uncharted games. You know, you had Little Big Planet 2, Little Big Planet Karting, and you had, you know, a lot of Ratchet and Clank games. You had Warhawk, you had Starhawk, Gran Turismo 5, Gran Turismo 6, God of War 3, God of War Ascension. You had a SOCOM Confrontation, SOCOM 4. You know, you had a lot of sequels that Sony's developing teams are pretty much pumping out every year. And number one, it's getting a lot harder to make quality games, of course. So if Sony somehow can achieve that in its earlier days, in its life cycle, something that even the PS4 didn't have, to launch like a couple of big games, it could really help in its early days and into the future, where developers will easily put out more games. You know, instead of one God of War or one Horizon or one Uncharted, we could have 2 games. Death Stranding is definitely still going to come out. There are some gamers who theorize that PlayStation 5 will come out next year and all the 2019 games will be cross-generation. That could be true.
I'm in on this.
But I don't see it happening because I don't see a 2019 release happening.
Here we go.
The PlayStation 5, like, what I would want to see with PlayStation 5
That was easier
is
than I expected. Lessons over.
graphics being updated, of course.
Showtime.
I want to see better graphics. That's number one, definitely. But compared to all the generations before it,
Good enough for me. Let's go.
I would want to see a smaller focus on better graphics and a bigger focus on smoother gameplay. So, yes, better RAM, faster CPU, you know, making sure that the games run fluid as
I
fuck.
have more to give.
My turn.
Instead of incredible graphics, but it doesn't hit 30 frames or whatever. Like, God of War is a really good example, because I think that Horizon does run better than God of War, but at 30 frames, God of War definitely plays fine. There's no problem with it. But if you play it on performance mode
That was
and then go back to 30 frames, you're like, holy shit, this plays so slow. You know, the fluid gameplay is gone. So
Was that okay?
I would love to see like 60 frames being the normal, you know, just the standard of next generation. That would really give me the feeling of, hey, we're at next gen. If it has God of War graphics, but like bigger draw distances and, you know, that higher resolution, even in the distance, you know, no smog everywhere, you know, just like on PC, running at 60 frames with the same graphics as God of War, I would be totally fine.
I'm ready. Gotta make sure this works.
Yes, PlayStation 5 is coming out in 2020. 2021 is a little bit too late, too long, probably not.
Here I go.
But 2020, that is my bet. That has been my bet for the past couple of years, and it's still my bet.
Here goes.
Yes, that is definitely something that is true.
Take this. Did you bother to aim first?
That's the power of consoles, you know, that its developers can really push out, you know, incredible graphics.
Let's go.
And you know, if you have a engine that runs really well, like, you know, Unreal Engine or like the Decima engine, if it runs really well on that hardware, you know that you can use that engine a couple of times because the hardware is always the same on consoles. That's something you don't have, you know, with PlayStation, with PCs.
I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
Well, if I actually am right, because I'm not a huge hardware nerd or whatever, you know, but from what I have heard, the CPU of the PlayStation 3 is actually faster than of the PS4. Because it's higher frame rate, it has 8 cores, and the Jaguar is actually slower than the cell processor. It's just much easier to develop for.
Was that
And I'm not entirely sure if you said it, Helgen, or asked it, But one of the biggest rumors is that Sony is indeed working on fully backwards compatible with PlayStation 4. And
Okay.
All right.
probably if that happens, Sony could really market the PlayStation 5 saying, you know, hey, we have a new console. It's gonna play all your PS4 games, but at higher frame rates. You know, so stuff like God of War, Final Fantasy, you know, maybe even Horizon, they could all be patched to run at 60 frames. So that even when a new console is in the market, gamers still has an option to buy that old generation game because it plays better. Yeah. I would definitely play stuff like God of War and Horizon and Final Fantasy 15 again in 60 frames. I would definitely do that.
Good enough for now.
Here goes. Take this. That should be good enough.
Let's go.
Yeah, that is kind of the annoying part. And what we have, what we have seen, and this is also something that Sony should really focus on. I'm not heavily into digital, but the way your digital games could sort of survive is that the entire digital library of PlayStation 4 would be available on PlayStation 5 from the start. You know, if you buy a PlayStation 5, you can download your PlayStation 4 games and you can play all your digital games. So that means that your games will, last at least another generation. Kind of like Steam. But then you have to buy, hardware.
And that's a wrap. Ready or not.
And, again, all of these games could be patched to run better.
All right.
And, if Sony does that, no, I'm not really against digital. I just prefer physical. But if Sony somehow can do something like that, it will definitely boost digital sales, because you can easily say, oh, but the next generation, I can still play all my digital games.
All right. My turn.
Yeah, that's also stupid. And, well, of course, the biggest issue I have with digital games is I don't have the feel of I bought something. When I buy a digital game for a couple of bucks, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a couple of bucks, nothing really special. If I buy stuff like God of War digital, I won't say I would be ripped off, because you do get something, but I won't really have the feeling of, hey, I got this game. And it's a collector stupid thing, but I just want to have the box and just know that I got the game. This is how I am. And you could say, yes, but there has been patches and whatever, yes. But it's fully playable without all the patches.
That should be good enough. Here we go.
All right. And that's a wrap. Ready or not, here I come.
Let's see. Let's go! Ha!
And
Get to you!
Better make this count. There. My turn. I have more to give. My turn, right? Lesson's over.
Showtime! Full speed ahead! Alright. Here we go! Ha! Alright. Here we go! Good enough for now.
Alright. That's a wrap. Ready or not, here I come.
well,
That was...
at least for like the Japanese games, collection editions are almost always really cool. I mean, look at like Nino Kuni's collector's edition, Valkyrie Chronicles 4 collector's edition has just been announced with like a statue of the iconic tank. I mean, those are pretty cool collector's editions. It seems that at least like for Western games, collector's editions are a lot about digital downloads, digital soundtracks, and I don't really care about that. Like the only Western game I can think of that has a pretty cool collector's edition was from God of War. And Mortal Kombat X also has a really cool collector's edition. But
Here I go.
that's just from the back of my mind, the only collector's edition I'm like, this looks pretty cool. Hey, what's up, the juggler?
Sorry it had to come to this.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Let's go.
digital games.
Let's go!
It's kind of funny that, you know, the game is a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but its map design is pretty bad. From all the playable characters I have on field, only a couple are actually doing something. You just don't have enough space to really go into an enemy and kill it, because someone else will just easily do it that runs faster or walks faster or whatever.
My turn.
You know, what is this? Like, only a couple of spots, and I mean, you could probably do like, you know, magic, but that's it.
Alright. That's a wrap. I'm just getting started. That was...
Here goes nothing. Gotta make sure this works. Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
Behold, the Lawler's power. Just kidding.
Oh, holy shit, I should get an S rank. PSP, well, like PSP has a lot of cool collector's editions, especially if you're like into Japanese special editions. There are quite a lot. You know, Japan definitely loves their collector's editions. I hate this, by the way. I freaking hate choosing a main character. You know, that is something like in every RPG, There are more RPGs that has like multiple stories, multiple main characters. That's one of the reasons why Octopath Travelers, I'm like not entirely sure if I should get it, because there's so many playable characters that has their entire storylines. I really like RPGs who, like in the old days, you know, just has a standard group and that group goes onto an adventure. I don't like choosing different characters for different side missions and different endings. Tales of Xillia had a really cool collection edition. The second one too. Tales of Xillia had that statue of what's that girl's name? I played the game for so many hours, I still just forgot the freaking name of the character. Almost popped in my head. You know what I mean. The girl with a lot of boob straps and the long hair. Mila, damn it, that was the name. You had like a statue of Mila. I mean, that was pretty cool. I remembered, you know, the game shop that was here in the city that sadly has already gone. He had like the collection edition of Mila Maxwell, indeed. And I think it was like 90 bucks. And I was like thinking, should I get it or not? Because I already got the game, but I decided to not get it. There's just too many crap. Quest office. Okay. Okay, what the fuck is this? Oh, start quest, it says. Holy shit. Holy shit. What is this? Oh, it's like a real-time battle thingy?
Take that. Full speed ahead.
Okay, this is kind of interesting.
Watch this. Watch this. Take that.
Yes, I did see. It's like a Mega Man-ish game, and if it's not getting a physical release on its own, it probably will be physical for like limited run games.
Good going, everyone.
And talking about limited run games, guys, Monster Pixel, what is it? Monster Pixel number 2. Let me check it out. I'm just such an idiot. I have no idea what I'm saying most of the time. Pixel Junk Master 2 is getting a physical release, and it's open pre-order. It means that from June 1 you can easily pre-order that game, and then the amount of pre-orders they're going to manufacture the game. Same goes with Cosmic Star Heroine, that's going to come out this Friday. It's going to be an open pre-order for Switch, for PS4 and PS Vita, I think. So let's hope that it's going to be a big success, and that Limited Run Games will do a lot more open pre-orders for their bigger games. I've actually talked with Doug, one of the co-founders of Limited Run Games, quite a lot, and I talked a lot about that they should do open pre-order, that they should try and grow as a company, but it seems that they were really stuck between, we don't have enough fans, we don't have enough sales to really justify going on open pre-order. And it seems that because of the Switch, I definitely give high regards to the Switch. Because of the Switch, they have done an open pre-order for 2 of their games, Flintlook and Mercenary Kings. Mercenary Kings is actually one of those games I'm looking out for on PS4. It's kind of like a Metal Slug game mixed with like Borderlands. And it sold more than 10,000 copies each. That is something a lot of smaller PS4 games can't even achieve with Limited Run. And, they liked it so much that they basically said for the bigger games, on both Switch and on PS4, for the bigger games, we're going to do open pre-orders. So I am super excited for that. Especially because with an open pre-order, if what Limited Run Games does right now is we're gonna have 5,000 copies and we're gonna sell 5,000 copies. Now, for example, just an example, for those 5,000 copies, if they earn like $1,000, they earn $1,000. They can never earn $1,500, they can never earn $2,000 because they only have those 5,000 copies. With open pre-order, they can basically earn as much as people are going to buy the game, just like a big company. So if all of a sudden there is this big game that is coming up and it sells like 50,000 copies for some reason, Limited Run Games has the potential to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and potentially get a lot more games onto their system, and of course for our consumers, get a lot more physical stuff. Hey, what's up, Triforce? Hopefully you're joking and you're not really going into these PC Master Race crap, because I cannot think of any PC game in the last couple of years who has garnered enough attention to be like Game of the Year or whatever, like Zelda, Mario, God of War, Horizon, Uncharted, etc. But of course, if you don't give a shit about exclusives and you want the best possible, the best possible frame rate and the quality, PC is the way to go if you spend enough money on your PC. But the lines between consoles and PC will definitely fade away a little bit more once the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox hopefully can do 60 frames, because that's one of the biggest issues, you know, a lot of PC gamers have.
Submit and die. Submit and die. Submit and die.
Don't let my power go to waste.
Power is your pain. Die. Submit and die.
Take that.
My power is your pain.
Ha!
My power is your pain. Is there nobody out there who can
A module console, no. The reason why a module console can never work, you know, is because if you have a module console and you can switch out your CPU, your graphical card or whatever, it means that developers have to make different versions of every game. You know, that is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of big developers, even like Rockstar, make their games focused on consoles specs, because it's really hard to make Grand Theft Auto work on 100 different systems. That is the power of the consoles. There is one unified spec sheet, you know, and that is what developers have to create their games. They never have to think of, oh, but this guy has you know, 2 gigabytes of RAM, but this guy has 8 gigabytes of RAM. Oh no, this guy has 16 gigabytes of RAM. How can we make our game work on this and that? That is the power of consoles. They know what they have, and they can work their stuff around what they have. So I am definitely not for a module console, and it's something that just never will work. Okay, so you only get a couple of quests each time. That sucks. I wonder if you get like quests for events. No. You probably have to play the game further to get these quests. Okay. You know, Triforce, the only thing what next generation should be about is smooth gameplay experience. I don't really give a shit if the GPU is only like 20% or 10% stronger than PlayStation 4 Pro or Xbox One X. I don't really give a shit about that. I want to see huge difference between, you know, gameplay. I want to see 60 frames, smooth 60 frames. That's what I want to see. And I'm not entirely sure if you have seen the rumors, but there's a rumor that Sony is working on a customized Ryzen CPU, so we probably will get 60 frames this generation. Yes, I mean that's of course why they're working on a customized Ryzen CPU. I mean, they're not idiots. They are probably working on something that's gonna, you know, be good. Yeah, well, I don't see, I don't know. Like, if Sony would announce the PlayStation 5 at E3 next year, and like maybe like the end of 2019 release or beginning of 2020, beginning of 2020 I could see happening. 2019 is probably too soon. You know, keep in mind that was it the year before? Yeah, it was the year before when the trailer for The Last of Us 2 came out, that they were saying that they were working on the game just at that moment. It was really early in development. Okay, so if we look at usual development time for Sony exclusives right now, it's about 4 to 5 years. Is Last of Us 2 going to be that long? Probably not. I mean, they have the engine of Uncharted. So, you know, my prediction, and I'm going to stand at my prediction, is The Last of Us 2 release date will be the last PlayStation 4 game, and it's going to come out at the beginning of 2020. Okay, so The Last of Us 2, March, April 2020. You know, PlayStation 4, if the game is good, the PlayStation 4 is going out with a fucking bang. And at E3, Sony is like, okay, you know, we just had our last big game, but it's time to move on, you know, and they're gonna showcase PlayStation 5 launching at the end of 2020. That is really what I've been predicting for or saying for a very long time. And because Sony has said fiscal year 2020, 2021, you know, we are going to crouch down, it probably means that PlayStation 5 launch will probably be around there. Triforce. One of the big rumors is that PlayStation 5 will be fully backwards compatible with PlayStation 4. One of the other rumors is that a full digital library will be available on PlayStation 5 from the start. It's something that I think should happen. You know, it's the only way for digital games to survive is that they go in transition to the next generation of systems. You know, people don't want to pay their games again because they have a new system. That means that the only thing Sony needs to do with The Last of Us 2 is like create a patch that makes the game run at 60 frames or higher resolution. That's probably what they're going to do. Yeah, and Triforce, like the biggest complaint I can remember going from PS3 to PS4 is that so many digital games that people bought, even to this day, are not playable or buyable on PlayStation 4. Now, I understand the reason, because the cell processor is so much different than the processor they have now, but PlayStation 5 will probably be just a really beefed up PlayStation 4 with the same architecture, you know, etc. So they can easily port everything to PlayStation 5, probably without any significant effort to do it.
It's a girl and guy.
Okay, so Triforce says that he thinks PlayStation 5 will be the last console with retail games. I don't think digital will grow in such a fast way that, you know, in 8 years from now, everything is going to be digital. I don't see that happening. Just like with LPs, with CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, there is always going to be a big amount of people who want their games physical. And even with like stuff like limited run games growing much bigger, I don't see that happening. Will digital sales be maybe bigger than physical? It probably will. Probably. But for example, in the same time frame as PS3, so about 5 years, PlayStation 4 is selling a lot more physical copies than PlayStation 3 did. So you could potentially say that this generation, physical medium has been growing compared to last generation, but compared to digital, it is slowing down because digital sales are increasing. But I don't see a digital-only system in the near future. I really do not see that happening. Especially if you know, look at like Switch games are selling millions and millions of copies physically.
Ready or not, here I come.
I don't think Sony would run a risk, even if it's 10 million people who buy physical games compared to 80 million who doesn't. I don't think Sony would risk the hatred a lot of gamers will have if they say, hey, our system is going to be digital only. Do you know what I do see happening? I definitely see in the future a system that is digital only and a system who can also play physical games. where Sony could potentially say, hey, you know, we have a PlayStation 6 and that's like $400 or $450. It plays physical games, but we also have an option for additional only PlayStation. You know, it's cheaper, but it can only play digital games. I can definitely see that happening, but I really do not see it happening that all of a sudden they're going to abandon hundreds of million physical games. From my knowledge, and of course, video game charts is never accurate, but it's the most accurate we have. About 520 million pieces of physical software has been sold.
That's a wrap.
You know, do you really think that they're gonna abandon 500 plus million software for physical? No, they will never do that. And the generation isn't even over. Also, you have to understand that Japan, you know, it's growing a little bit, but most Japanese games have an incredible small digital sales. Incredible small compared to physically. Now, of course, software sales in Japan are not that big if it's not Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, or Monster Hunter, or Pokemon, but, you know, it is there. Then you have to understand third party, third country markets.
Here we go.
That's the reason why English Asia games has become more popular lately. You know, in Taiwan or Thailand or whatever, which small company, you know, they release their games for in Asia, a lot of the population does not have a steady internet connection. So they rely on physical games. You know what I mean? So that is why we are seeing so many Japanese games getting a physical release in Asia with English text, because it's really hard for them to sell it digital if like maybe 5% of the users have a digital connection.
Ready or not.
I actually heard you say that Urban Defense Force 5 was announced for the West. I don't see any news at all about that, by the way. Because I was like, oh yeah, Urban Defense Force 5, and I'm like, I don't see anything.
Was that okay?
All right. That's a wrap.
My turn, right? Lesson's over. Here I go.
Ah, but isn't that the Asia version? But I mean, as I mentioned, the Asian version could be, you know, could be English text. And Urban Defense Force is like a game, it's probably going to come out. It was only a matter of time. Like E3 is coming up, we are probably going to see quite a lot of, you know, games being announced for the West. And I'm definitely excited for Urban Defense Force. I love the fourth one.
Ready or not. Here I
It's
go.
actually a game just like you. I should play more.
I'm just getting warmed up.
Let's go.
But it does get really repetitive.
You got this. Follow my lead. Witness your end. Yeah.
a wrap.
XL-klaudkil.
Here we go.
Well, at least all the Yakuza games are coming to PlayStation.
Here I go.
It's PS4, like all of them. Besides the spin-off, so all the mainline Yakuza games are on PS4.
Commence battle. Sure
Let's
thing.
go on this.
got
I
this.
didn't get picked last.
Let's see you handle this.
Suffer for your sins. Ashes to ashes. Stand by.
Ready or not, here I come. Pathetic. That was amazing.
All right.
My turn, right? Finish.
Here we go.
I actually have a whole week vacation for E3.
My turn.
A whole fucking week. I'm gonna do a lot more though than just playing games and go watching E3. But I wanna. This E3 is gonna be pretty
Here I
interesting.
go.
You know, for Microsoft, for Nintendo, and for Sony, it's gonna be really interesting what they're gonna do.
Was that okay?
My turn, right?
And like always, I'm of course super excited.
Finish.
Commence battle. Stand by. Here we go.
Yeah, well, it seems that Final Fantasy VII Remake is going in a development hell. You know, first it was outsourced, then it was in-house, and I think it changed in-house development team again. I don't know about Final Fantasy VII.
I have more to give.
That probably will be a PlayStation 5 game, to be honest. Yeah, that is definitely true. Like, the three conferences, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, those are always the most fun and the most interesting ones. That is definitely true.
I got this.
Here goes nothing.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, Tatsuya Nomura actually said that we're gonna see release date for Kingdom Hearts at E3. And to be honest, you know, the last thing I saw about Kingdom Hearts, it seems that the game is clearing completion. It looked really good.
Lesson's over.
To be honest, Kingdom Hearts 2 is also one of these games I still need to buy and play, because I never really played it.
I'm done.
Here I go. There.
I'm just getting started. I'm just getting warmed
Let's
up.
go. That was too easy.
My turn.
And that's a wrap.
Showtime. Full speed ahead. All right. Here we go. Ha. Too bad. So sad. Showtime. Ha. Good enough for him. Let's see. Was that okay? Commence battle.
I got
I'm all
this.
in already.
Let's see you handle this.
Suffer for your sins. Evil can never prevail. was an
Yay.
absurd diversion.
B rank, that's not really good. Ah yes, Concrete Genie. That wasn't it a VR game, or wasn't it a VR game? Yeah. Okay, I do remember it. I want to see. We're probably going to see like one new exclusive. If it's a remake, reboot, it doesn't matter. We're probably going to see one new game from Sony. I do want to see Medieval, because I'm a huge fan of Medieval. I want to see that. And of course, I am so fucking excited for Ghost of Tsushima. Holy shit, it's gonna be so cool! It is definitely good weather. Way too hot though. Way too fucking hot. I don't like hot weather. Where's the guy? Did he die? Oh, here. I know. Well, I like warm weather.
Here we go.
But I don't like hot, and it's going to be pretty fucking hot this weekend. Fucking hot this weekend.
So sad. All right.
Here I go.
Way too fucking hot. Way too hot.
Ha! There.
Yeah, like 20 degrees. You know, with maybe like a small breeze wind is pretty good. Why do I have Kyle? He's an idiot. Well, he's not an idiot. He's pretty cool, but whatever. Oh, wait.
Remember this.
Witness the power.
Did I just use it on myself? Oh, fucking idiot, I did.
That wasn't work out.
Let's go.
Here goes nothing.
You would say that like a tactical RPG
All right.
has a lot of grinding, but okay, I am playing the game on easy, so maybe the game is really easy on easy, but the game kind of feels really easy, like really easy.
My turn, right?
That's true. Summer is over before you freaking know it.
Yeah. Finish.
Power courses through.
But still, after summer, we're gonna have Dragon Quest 11. Dragon motherfucking Quest 11. Finally.
Knights of the Empire. Here goes.
I'm gonna actually take a week off to play Dragon Quest. I know, I'm a nerd. I don't give a shit. So I have a week of vacation for E3. I have another week vacation for Dragon Quest. Then I don't have any more days. I have 1 day left. That is to fix my car for APK. And at the end of the year, I have 2 weeks vacation again. So that's pretty cool.
Right there.
I think it's a lot better than just have 3 weeks of vacation, but you don't really have anything to do.
Take that. Too bad. So sad.
All right. Here I go.
How can she not attack him? She has a fucking gun.
Don't let my power go to waste.
Yeah.
Keep this going.
Well, I actually, a lot of times, like pretty much my entire working life, I have, I started out with 2 weeks
Let's
of
kick this party up a
vacation
notch.
and then a lot of other days, but the last couple of years, especially like 6 years, I just have 3 weeks of vacation. And the thing is, a lot of times, I
Doesn't work out.
looked at releases of games. I'm like, okay, this game is going to come out, and this game is going to come out. So I probably have something to do in this 3 weeks of vacation. And also, you know, especially when I moved on my own, we had a really big group of friends, and there was a bar. We always hang out. And we did so many cool stuff like barbecues and parties, and that I always had something to do. Now I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it's years later, a lot of people are gone because we got into a fight, or most of them got girlfriends or boyfriends, and now these boyfriends and girlfriends are wives and husbands, and some of them have children, some of them are pregnant right now, so this really big group we had is pretty much gone to, you have to make an appointment to go and see him. I have to call them up or app them and say, hey, do you have time? You want to hang out? Do you want to do something? So
Stand by.
that really hit me last year, when it was kind of the first year that problem arose, where there were no significant games coming out. I mean, you had Persona, that was pretty cool, and you had Wipeout a Mega Collection coming out. That was cool too. I mean, that was cool too, but playing games day in, day out, I never do, and especially not for 3 whole weeks. So in the second week, I got bored. In the third week, I almost got freaking depressed, because there was nothing to do. I was at home, and I was like, what the fuck should I do? Also, I have to mention, though, that my initial plan was to get my driving license in these 3 weeks. That is what I planned to do, but it was so busy at these driving schools that they actually planned me for my first driving lesson at the last day of vacation. So that fucking sucked. Yes, that's also has been a problem that a couple of my really good friends, especially my best friend, she moved pretty far away, compared to where she was living before. So it was a lot harder to see her, especially because I didn't have a car. And now that I have a car, it still takes me 2 hours to drive there. You know, it doesn't really matter, but, you know, it's still time. But, so, you know, after last year, I was like, I'm never gonna do that. I'm never going to, you know, take so much time off and actually doing nothing. So that's why I took the approach of, you know, with Ni no Kuni, I had 2 days off. With God of War, I had 2 days off. You know, that's what I'm going to do. And then I have a week of vacation and another week. And at the end of the year, I have 5 days off from work, but with weekends, with Christmas, and at the end of the year, I have 2 weeks of vacation. So, and it suits me fine. It suits me really fine. Then I actually have something to do. Okay, so the stupid idiot, because he's the only one who can go up there.
Alright. Showtime. Take that. Bye-bye. Alright. Showtime. Good enough for now.
Oh shit, I can actually attack him again. That was idiot.
How to make this count?
Let's kick this party up a notch. Whew. That was
Let's
a
go.
workout.
Right where you belong. I have more to give.
Let's see.
Hey, what's up, Marco? CRO Gamer Pro. Marco Pro Gamer Pro. Oké, cool man. Ja, inderdaad. Maar dat was veel, dat is in 2011. Ja, maar dat is dan weer iets nog meer naar achteren. En dat was ook in de tijd waar ik stopte met uitgaan. En echt al mijn zogenaamde vrienden er opeens niet meer waren. Omdat ik ging niet meer uit. Ik zat niet elke dag meer in disco's en opeens was iedereen weg. Dus ik was letterlijk zowat compleet alleen. En toen ging ik nog meer trainen. Toen ging ik ook anabolen gebruiken. En met anabolen wat ik gebruikte schijn je dus agressief of depressief te worden. Ik werd depressief. Verkocht zowat heel mijn collectie. En een paar maanden later dan, shit, wat heb ik gedaan? I don't speak that language. It doesn't matter. I speak Dutch. I can speak Dutch and sort of English. Sort of. Chain attack.
I did it. You got my support.
Did you just say yay? Niet alles. Heel veel slechte PlayStation 3 games had ik toen gekocht. Misschien dat ik die ooit inderdaad als het goedkoop is zou halen, maar niet zo heel veel. Maar ik heb er wel van geleerd. Maar ja, goed, toen was ik ook in 2011, dat is alweer 7 jaar geleden. Begin 20, ja, zoiets. You watched my Mountain Blade streams? Those were like my most popular gameplay videos. And I think my Mountain Blade review is like one of my most popular reviews. Not that I really give a shit about being popular or look how many views I got, but just a fun fact. I'd never expected Mountain Blade to be this popular on consoles.
They're right. Victory sure is sweet.
Mountain Blade is awesome, and I cannot wait for Mountain Blade Bannerlord. That is probably the only game who could make me want to buy a PC again, because my PC died. I do have almost 4,000 subscribers, even though pretty much no one really watches my videos. And also, if you actually have been looking, well, of course, why would you look? But this past year or two, I have not gotten a single subscriber. I am hovering about 4,000 subscribers a year and a half now. You know, it goes to like 3,950, 60, and then all of a sudden it goes low to 940, then it goes to 960 again, then it goes to 940 again, and that has been doing this past year and a half. So basically I haven't gotten a single subscriber this past year. Do I give a shit? No, I don't. Really, I really don't. I will give you subscribers. I know that YouTube promotes clickbait, but I'm just not into clickbait. I don't like that. I don't like doing clickbait. Let's level him up, because he's pretty strong. More skills. Okay. Ha! Yeah. Like, to be honest, I've been on YouTube for so long. Like, most YouTubers out there pretty much have thousands of subscribers. I don't.
Raj,
don't give a shit.
You're younger than me, right?
I probably would get more subscribers again if I would make specific collection videos, because those are always popular. Video game room tours and specific game collections. This year I won't do it. This year is the first time I didn't do it. Probably next year I will do at least like a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 collection video, probably.
I like this.
Oh, I don't use my camera because I have to set it all up, and kind of annoying. And I have this, what is this? This headset, and it works fine.
Whoa there.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and the thing is, as I mentioned a couple of times, my PC died. If my PC wasn't dead, you know, I probably would still be making a lot more videos, especially like the physical master race videos. That was something that I was really trying to build up, you know, especially at that time where small indie games, a lot of people, you know, it was a lot smaller than it is right now. Limited run games was a lot smaller than it is right now, and you know, I clearly remember, this sounds really stupid, but I clearly remember that, like, especially like, what's the guy called, Reggie, and Metal Jesus Rocks, they were all pretty invested in my physical master race videos, because at that time, you know, I was pretty much one of the only ones who would go into depth to try and look at all the smaller games and all the digital games that are getting physical releases and putting them in one video. And you know, I clearly remember, like, there was like one video from Metal Jesus Rocks with Reggie in it, and he was talking about these physical indie games, and that Metal Jesus was saying like, how do you get this information? And Reggie, even though he did say my real name, Alex, instead of Klaudkil, that was kind of a bummer, to be honest. But Reggie did say that, you know, he got the information from me, and, you know, knowing that it was me at such a big channel of Metal Jesus, that was fucking cool. And I clearly remember getting a couple dozen new subscribers because Reggie did leave in the comments below like, oh, I missed out, that it's this channel, or you can check out this video here, and that was pretty cool. So these physical master race videos, that was something that I was really invested in, and was something that I wanted to do a lot more. But because my PC died, and I don't want to spend hundreds of bucks on a new PC at the moment, it's something that has been died out, and there are probably a lot more YouTubers, a lot more websites and Twitter accounts right now who goes into depth of finding all these smaller, you know, digital games that are getting physical releases. But I was one of the first who did it. We do not change. Okay. And I like streaming. I do like streaming. But, like, with streaming, I stream with YouTube, and YouTube streaming is incredible small, insignificant, nobody really gives a shit about it. So if I really wanted to go into streaming, I would go to Twitch. But the thing is, all my YouTube stuff, subscribers, fans, whatever, you know, they should have all, then they need all to go to Twitch. And probably a lot of them won't do that, so I was like, whatever, I keep streaming on YouTube, and, you know, I will make these smaller, unedited videos, but I do kind of miss it. And especially like the physical master race videos, it was something that I really wanted to do, really want to promote physical software. But I'm just, you know, if I'm gonna buy a PC, I want to buy a good PC who at least can run Mountain Blade Bannerlord at the highest, best setting. And I know I need a pretty strong PC for that. And I just don't want to spend 500 or 600 bucks on a PC. I just don't want to do that. Yeah, YouTube doesn't really promote streaming. I know there's a lot of issues with RAM and GPU prices because of Bitcoin mining.
Take that. Bye-bye. All right.
Here goes nothing.
Oh, she also has a gun. Yes, consoles are the best gaming value right now and pretty much forever, to be honest. You know, if you build a PC for like $1,200, you probably have a really strong PC. But if I wait, I can get a PS4 at a discount, $200, and I can pretty much buy all the good exclusive games on that system. So I'll be enjoying the games instead of having to buy a $200 PC. But yeah, 1,600 euros. My PC also cost 1,600 euros, actually, to be honest, when I first got it years ago. And that was to play Supreme Commanders. Because Supreme Commanders came out and I was like, holy fuck, I need a powerful new PC to really enjoy this game. Because I was heavily into Supreme Commanders.
Ashes to ashes.
And it was well worth it, but at that time, different times, PS3 wasn't doing so well, you know. At the end, the PS3 generation was pretty good, but nothing extraordinary, at least for Japanese games. And you know, I still lived at my parents' place or my mom's place, so I had hundreds of euros spent. I still have hundreds of euros spent, but I don't want to spend it on gaming anymore. I wanna get a pretty expensive car in about 2 to 3 years, so I'm saving for that. I want to save for my house, and I want to play games. So consoles is the best value.
Give me a sec. I'll be ready to go again soon.
Okay, yeah, 2,000 euros, Lamborghini. No, I want to get. It's like I have no. How do you say it? I have no information about cars. I'm not really experienced with cars. I don't know much about it. I know what a car is. I know what it does. I know Mercedes, BMW, Lamborghini, Ferrari. I'm not an idiot. You know, those things I know. But besides that, I don't have any knowledge of cars. So my knowledge of cars is I look at a car and say, oh, this looks nice. Oh, this doesn't look nice, right? But lucky for me, I have one friend. She is extremely into cars. Extremely into cars. If she could sleep with a car, she probably would. She helped actually getting my car, and my car is pretty good. I love my car. If I look at other people, you know, they buy a really inexpensive car and there's so much trouble with it. I've been driving car now for almost 6 months. No issues whatsoever. Everything works perfectly fine. You know, I really like the car I'm driving. I'm actually driving a Hyundai Getz from 2004 or 2003. It's 14 years, so it's 2003. Yes, it's 14 years last week. It was only one guy who drove the car 114,000 kilometers. That's not a lot. That's definitely not a lot. So I was pretty happy with that. to get the car, but I am looking out for cars when I drive. So one of the cars I see the most is a Mazda 6. It looks like a pretty expensive car. It's like a really luxurious car, big car, much bigger than the ones I have. The one I have. But so if I look at a car, and what I do is I look at a car and see, hey, that's a nice looking car. And you know, I message my friend. I'm like, I saw this and this model. How much does it cost? Is it a good car? And sometimes he says, oh, this is way too expensive, or this is a really bad car. You know, it looks good, but it drives like shit. It has really many malfunctions and stuff. And so the cars that I have seen are Audi, BMW, but with BMW, she warns me that they're great cars, especially in the budget that I want to have for the car. I mean, I can buy a pretty expensive car from BMW. It's going to be really cool, but the maintenance is going to be extremely high. You're going to pay a lot of taxes, and the maintenance is going to be just really expensive. And I'm like, okay, maybe not. Audi is pretty much like the same, but a little bit less than BMW. But the main car that I'm interested in is a Mazda 6, as I mentioned. You know, it's going to take me like 3 years to save up the money to buy the car. And I already checked out like maintenance. I checked out the taxes I have to pay for it every 3 months. And it's doable. It's doable. You know, I'm really lucky that I live cheap. You know, I made the right choices. I live really cheap. So I can easily afford a car like a Mazda 6. And maybe some of you are like, oh, that's I have the car too, or that's not really that expensive. But here in Holland, for me, that's expensive. Damn, gunshot.
Guess that's that.
So it's gonna be pretty cool after 2 or 3 years. Of course, I could lose my job, nobody knows, but that's not something I'm gonna look out for. So you know, I wanna save up for that. Slowing down on buying games, of course, I've already done that. You know, I think I have done a pretty good job of. Really? Fucking really? Did she die and it's game over? Really? God fucking hell, I hate that. Let me load it up. Actually, I'm gonna end the stream. It's almost 2 hours. Tesla car is pretty cool, but it's really expensive. Really expensive. I am not that rich. Not that I'm rich, by the way. I'm not rich at all. But Tesla is way too expensive. But those are fucking cool cars. Sometimes I see them drive. I'm like, holy shit, so cool. Why did I save? Ah, yeah, Silhouette of Thanatos. Okay. So, guys, I am going to end the stream, though. I think I'm gonna. I'm gonna complete my Gundam. I only need to create the guns, the weapons, and then my Gundam, Destiny Gundam is fully done. So thanks a lot for watching and chatting, and you probably will see me next time.